don't see where he is. No, that's fine. He'll just have to wait. Okay, so next on our agenda is Joe and Nancy Berg Property LLC. They want to come up and state their name for the record. But here we got Joe and Nancy Berg Property LLC. Right up here and sit down. You get a nice chair. 104-8417 70th Avenue, Little Falls. Application for interim use permit for a home extended business, specifically for an embroidery and apparel business located in South Half, Section 35, Township 40, Range 30, Little Falls Township. State your name for the record, please.
Joseph David Berg.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, Amy, you have staff report?
I do, Mr. Chair. Again, this is an application for an interim use permit for a limited rural business located in Section 35 of Little Falls Township. The ordinance reference for this request is Section 604.8, and that does require an IUP for limited rural businesses. Here's a plat map of Little Falls Township, and the red dot is the location of the parcel. And then here's the interim permit request received from the applicant. And then here's a site photograph, or a site drawing also provided by the applicant, and an aerial photo provided by the applicant. Here is an aerial photo of the entire parcel outlined in blue. The applicant owns and occasionally lives on this 320-acre property. There is a small farm operation that does not meet feedlot registration thresholds on the property. The applicant recently applied for a permit to construct a 133 by 60 shed to be utilized for horses and office space. And the applicant is requesting an interim use permit to also conduct an embroidery business out of the shed. The location would be utilized for embroidery and branding of apparel and other items for delivery to area businesses. No on-site shopping or store is proposed for the location. The applicant did attend a development review team meeting. The property is located on 170th Avenue, which is a paved township road. There is an existing road approach. And here's a tighter view of the property, Mr. Chair, with the entrance and the right-of-way on. Surrounding property is zoned agriculture and is made up of forest, wetland, and rural residences. And here's a zoomed out view of the area. The performance standards and considerations within the land use control ordinance for limited rural businesses are listed here. I'm not going to go through them, but I have them for reference if you need. The applicable comprehensive plan goals and objectives is in agriculture, goal A1, objective 6, goal A2, objective 1, and then local economic development, goal C1, objective 1, objective 8, and then goal C2, objectives 1, 2, and 7, and 19. 36 notices were sent. I did receive one phone call today, actually, from Jim Meslowski, and he indicated he was okay with the request. Otherwise, I did not receive any other comment prior to the hearing. And then here's your interim use criteria questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Berg, at this time, I guess you want to give us a little bit, anything to add to this, but also maybe just give us kind of what your business plan is and how you come about this and what you're doing, whatever.
We started this business about 2 years ago. We've been doing embroidery, we've been doing t-shirt making, we're doing engraving. We've been running it out of a house up in Green Prairie Township right now. It was kind of funny that Jim Maslowski, he's actually a resident in Green Prairie Township, and this I'm moving it down to Little Falls Township. So it was two different places. We've been running it out of our house for like 2 years, and it's gotten to a point where the living room, the kitchen, the dining room, everything's filled with stuff because we've just been busy. And it's time to move it and let it grow, let it go. So that's why we're building this. We're building the shed now, and we're building a multi-use type shed, and we're going to put this in there as one of those things in it. As far as my capabilities here, I've been here in the community about 30 years now. I started my first business in the same garage, in my same house, and that business now is DJ Products. And that's in the industrial park right now on the west side of Little Falls. We have about 65 families right now that we take care of with all of our employees and all of our stuff. My original business that I built, we make material handling equipment. The first product that we designed is the shopping cart pusher. We push shopping carts around the country, and from there we've been pushing around everything else on wheels. That business has grown very well. We're an international business. About 15% of our business goes overseas. The rest of it goes everywhere in the country. We're doing business with Fortune 50 companies to everywhere. I got a lot of experience with running businesses. I like to make things. That's what I like to do. So,
Okay.
any questions? Or?
Anybody on the planning commission have some questions?
Mr. Berg, my question is, here you want to run this out of your home, and you talked about the numerous businesses you've started and all. Why would you want to run it out of your home versus in town where you wouldn't have to go through some of these restrictions? And
A couple things. The business at work, when we first started that, I was renting 1,500 square feet from somebody else in the town, in the building right across from Bajurga Feeds. Since then, I worked with Morrison County Community Development, and I built a 5,000 acre building across the street and down the block on 9th Avenue. Since then, I've had 5 additions and 3 expansions in that building to just keep growing, okay? There's no room for space in Morrison, in Little Falls. There's nothing available. There's no rented space. There's nothing out there. I just bought Bajurga Feeds, and we just filled that up with stuff. So I need to expand someplace. This is not a real retail organization. I don't want to really pay retail prices or build something in a retail locale inside of Little Falls. That's why I'm building it on land that I already have.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Brent.
Joe, if you could just explain how many employees you plan to have working out of this facility, the 133 by 60 shed, and just how that's going to play out
Right now,
in
we don't have any,
traffic.
we don't have any employees right now. I saw one of the performance items, if that's the right terminology for it, that I couldn't have over 7. If we ever get to 7, we're gonna be moving again. We'll probably have to be coming to some other location and building something different, or coming back to this board or doing something different if we ever get that many employees, because the building would not satisfy that as far as capability. So I'm not sure if I answered that. I don't have any plans to, you know, as business increases, we'll be hiring some, but it looks to me like I can't go over 7, I guess, so
Just to summarize that, in short, less than 7 employees and limited traffic.
that's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Mr. Sish.
could you describe how products come and go, how you get materials, how you ship out?
Most all of our suppliers ship everything in via UPS. And once it comes in to the area, we'll either deliver it to a local business or we'll ship it back out UPS.
So customers are not on the property?
Customers will come to the property to maybe pick out some apparel or pick out a design or go through the process of choosing what they want. We do a lot of one-off type stuff. We do a lot of company fulfillment, meaning there's a large company in town who we do a lot of fire-resistant clothing for, where we have, mark their actually logo in it. They'll come in once a year, look at all the designs, look at all the stuff that they need, and pick colors, pick stuff, pick things like that. You know, so their customers do come, but they're not, it's not like I'm gonna have retail hours.
Thank you. And Amy, could you clarify the difference between a limited rural business and a home extended business?
Limited rural business, you don't have to live on site. A home extended business assumes that that the business owner is living on site. When we had our development review team meeting with Mr. Berg, we thought the limited rural business would give him the most flexibility in the future because he's living there part-time, and so that's why we chose to do this as a limited rural business rather than a home extended.
And probably allows for a little expansion, more expansion, or not?
There's allowances for employees on both, but it allows him more flexibility for his living situation.
Yep, and anything more than this obviously belongs in a commercial area, commercially zoned area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Brucher.
How many employee hours per week do you have now at that site?
Right now, my wife only works about 6 hours a day, and I can't get her to work anymore. So that would be 30. My son's working full-time, so that would be 40. And we just lost our daughter and went back to college, and she was working about 25.
Okay,
So that would be 40, 80, probably 100 hours a week right now.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so you're building this shed, what's some other uses that shed's gonna be for? It's not gonna be just for embroidery,
I don't have any other sheds that are heated on the property for any of my farm work I need to do. So if anything breaks down, I don't have, I mean, it's fun fixing farm equipment out in the winter, but it's not that fun. So I'd be using it for that. I can use it for storage, I can, it's a multi-use type thing, big enough.
Mr. Chair?
go ahead, Dave.
This building obviously can be permitted over the counter, correct? Amy,
Yes, the permit for the building has already been granted.
it's not about the building, it's about.
Correct, it's the use. Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, so on these permits, we use an end date. Typically, I like to ask the applicant what they like to see for an end date, and we go from there. So have you put any thought into an end date that, because this permit doesn't go with the land, it goes with you?
Other way around.
No.
Interim use permits do run with the land.
Additional use, yes.
And conditional use permits also run with the land. However, interim use permits by law, you have to put that end
Yeah.
date on there or end event.
Yep. So have you put a thought into what the end date would be?
I'd like the end date as long as I own the property or my LLC that owns the property is still in control of it.
And then, so your kids are part of the LLC?
That's correct.
Okay, so you just say the LLC, we don't have to list the kids, is that fine? Or how?
So as long as the LLC, as long as the property is under the LLC,
Yep.
I would, yes, it could just be as long as the property is owned by that LLC. I think that would be.
Okay.
And that would be easy enough to track.
Yep.
So.
And that's what you'd like to see? Okay,
Mr. Chair, just a little thought on that.
go ahead.
If his intention was it to be as long as somebody in the family owned it, LLCs can be sold, and it may not be a family member, are we still okay with that?
Well, it's Joe
A
and
new
Nancy.
owner may have different, different standards, different goals.
But is anybody else gonna call it Joseph and Nancy Berg Properties LLC?
Good point.
Maybe.
Some people could only wish.
So we're looking through our performance standards, one of them, you're not gonna have a junkyard or salvage yard there. I just had to ask, that's kind of a joke, but. Okay, I don't know, you guys have anything else, otherwise we'll move on to the criteria questions.
Might want to ask for public comment
Oh,
first.
yeah, I guess I forgot about that. Trying to get, okay, so at this time, we'll open up the public comment. If there's anybody here that has any public comment for this, this applicant, you could go up to the microphone and state your name for the record and ask your question or state your opinion.
Hello, Ron Miller. I own some property just to the north of this property, and, you know, I see this permit and I'm going, what is the neighborhood coming to? But no, I'm all in favor of it. They do a good job and they keep the place neat over there, and I appreciate that.
George Sandy, Little Falls Township Supervisor. I thought Joe was building a church. Just saying. No, Little Falls Township, I guess we wouldn't have any problem with it. I don't foresee that there's any traffic concerns or anything like that with the applicant's business. There's already businesses in the township that probably aren't permitted anyway, so I think it'll be a good deal for Little Falls Township.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Third and final time, any other public comment? If none, we'll close this portion of the meeting to public comment. Planning Commission have anything else at this time? Otherwise, we'll move on to the criteria questions. Okay, we'll move on to criteria questions. Okay. The use will not put excessive burden on roadways, utilities, and public facilities such as parks and schools. Dave Brucher.
Yes. Without comment.
Well, we need comment.
You do?
Yeah, we're not voting, we're talking.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't imagine with, 3 or 4 family members working there and what he's described, that it's going to cause, and especially with the support from his neighbors in Little Falls Township, I'd say will not put a burden on roadways, utilities, or public facilities.
Okay, anybody else have any more comment on that?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Marv.
Okay, I believe that's a tar road that's around there, so it's just support that quite well. Neighbors being supportive of it. There's no utilities around there, no parks, no schools. Here in, 300 some acres, so it's plenty of area there. So, yeah, it would not put any excessive burden at all. And good access with the roads.
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
go ahead.
they're planning on using the existing approach, so no new approaches onto the roadway. So again, that reduces burden too.
Okay, we'll move on to question 2. The request is not detrimental to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for uses predominant area. I'll take that one. I don't know how it would be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of anybody else. It's gonna be a nice building, the way it looks. You won't even know what it's getting used for. It ties in with the farming operation that's already there. You look up and down that road, there's lots of sheds and buildings like that up and down that road already. And it's a little ways off the road, so it ain't like it's 10 feet off the road. I can't see where it'd be detrimental to the use of anybody else that's close. Any other comment on that?
Mr. Chairman,
Go
I
ahead.
think this is a good question, to give approval, is that it's not detrimental to it. This is something that adds, and it's a good question that can be answered in the positive, in the affirmative. Thank you.
And Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I'd just like to add that the building is permittable. It's already been permitted. And all the nuances that go with the permit have been met. So we met all the setbacks and we're just talking about the use of the building. So not detrimental to, this use would not be detrimental to any of the neighbors with the small amount of traffic and, the small change that you see to the area.
Okay. Ready for question 3? Okay, question 3, we'll move the rent for this one. The use in the opinion of the planning commission is reasonably related to the existing land use and the environment. Groundwater, surface water, and air quality in the surrounding area will not be adversely affected by the proposed use.
It's going to be a multi-use shed. The proposed business is going to be inside that structure. Looking at that general area, it's not an immediate area where rivers are in close proximity to it, to where he has the proposed business and building. So I don't think it's going to adversely affect anything by the proposed use.
Anybody else have anything to add? I would just add that there's gonna be a sewer system there. There, with the products and things he's doing, we don't have no hazardous waste or chemicals. There's already a sewer plan in place and all that, so, and there shouldn't be no runoff as far as anything that affects that business. So just wanted to clarify that a little bit. Anybody else have anything else to add? Okay, otherwise we'll move on to question 4. That'll be Mr. Stish. The use is consistent with the purpose of the zoning ordinance and the purposes of the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use.
It's permitted in this zone. It's a good fit in this area. It's encouraged by goals and objectives listed in the goal, or in a staff report here, and in our comprehensive plan and ordinances. And if it were ever to not be a business any longer, it'd be a very easy transition back to 100% ag use. So it looks like an ag building. It's in ag zoning. It fits.
Any other comments on question 4?
Mr. Chair, I would like to also comment that a township officer already stated they were okay with it, and there was existing businesses nearby.
Okay, we'll move on to question 5. That'll be for you, Marv. The use is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or the water plan for the county.
As stated, it's a large enough area, and the shed was already permitted. They're already far enough away from all drainage ditches, wetlands. They meet all the setbacks there. So, yeah, it's not in conflict.
Okay, any other comment on question 5?
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to add that there's business standards in place that help regulate and keep it in, from conflicting with the comprehensive plan and ordinance, and the objectives and goals cited in the staff report are all contiguous with what he's proposing.
Okay. No other comments, we'll proceed to vote, but we have to, or vote on these things with any conditions anybody have? I see none.
No conditions other than the
End date.
proposed end date, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll go through and vote on the questions then. Okay, question 1. The use will not put excessive burden on roadways, utilities, and public facilities such as parks and schools. Dave Brucher.
Yes, aye.
Myself, Clint Catherine, is aye. There's yes. Brent Lindgren.
Yes.
Dave Stish.
Yes.
Marvin Treadle.
Yes.
Okay, question 2. The request will not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted, nor impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for uses predominant area. Myself, Clint Catherine, is yes. Brent Lindgren.
Yes.
Dave Stish.
Yes.
Marvin Treadle.
Yes.
Dave Brucher.
Yes,
Question 3, the use and the opinion of the planning commission is reasonably related to the existing land use and the environment. Groundwater, surface water, and air quality in the surrounding area will not be adversely affected by the proposed use. Brent Lindgren.
Yes.
Dave Stish.
Yes.
Marvin Treadle.
Yes.
Dave Brucher.
yes,
Clint Catherine, myself is yes. Question 4, the use is consistent with the purpose of the zoning ordinance and the purposes of the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use. Dave Stish.
Yes.
Marvin Treadle.
Yes.
David Brucher.
Yes.
Clint Catherine, myself is yes. Brent Lindgren.
Yes.
Question 5, the use is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or the water plan of the county. Marvin Treadle.
Yes.
Dave Brucher.
Yes.
Clint Catherine, myself is yes. Brent Lindgren.
Yes.
Dave Stish.
Yes.
Okay, all the questions were answered in the affirmative.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead,
I'd
Marvin.
like to make a recommendation that we ask the commissioners to approve this
With the end date.
with the end date correct.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Okay, all in favor say aye. So we'll go through Brent,
Aye.
Dave Stish,
Aye.
Marvin Treadle,
Aye.
Dave Brucher,
Aye.
Clint Catherine, myself is yes. Aye. Okay, so we're gonna recommend approval to the commissioners of this. The commissioners' meeting would be September 9th.
And that's a typo,
It
September
is?
6th.
Okay.
Yep, so next Tuesday, I'll be going to the board with this.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Next up on the agenda would be Scenic View LLC. If they want to come forward. Okay, so we're looking at Scenic View LLC 2834 Howler Bay Drive Cushing application to amend an existing conditional use permit to add a parcel to the existing campground located in point of Government Lot 2, Section 32, Township 132, Range 31, Scandi Valley Township. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Jeff Hardy, Scenic View LLC, owner of Fish Trap Camping and RV Resort.
Okay, thank you. So Amy, you ready for the staff report at this time?
I am, Mr. Chair. Again, this is an application to amend the existing campground and resort conditional use permit to include an additional parcel. It's located in Section 32 of Scandi Valley Township. The ordinance references for this is Section 803 and 804.5. Those require a conditional use permit to expand and/or change a planned unit development. Here's a plat map of Scandi Valley Township, and the red dot is the location of the parcel. And then here's the conditional use permit request received from the applicant, along with a site drawing. And then here's an aerial photograph with the parcel they're looking to add outlined in blue. So Scenic View Resort is a permitted 160 campsite resort with amenities including an outdoor pool, lodge, playground, and bathhouse. The owner and operator of the resort lives on the parcel to the east of the campground. The applicant is requesting to amend the existing conditional use permit for the resort to include the parcel they reside on. So just as a reminder to the board, the scope of this is very narrow. You're only considering whether to add that parcel to the existing resort CUP, not fiddling with anything else. The applicant would like to construct a 42 by 100 shop for personal storage, but also for use as a shop and storage for the resort. There are no plans to establish additional campsites or other amenities on this parcel. If that were to occur, a conditional use permit application must be submitted. The applicable comprehensive plan goals and objectives is shoreline management, goal D1 and E1, or E3, sorry. Goal D1, objective 10. Local economic development, goal C1, objective 8. Goal C2, objectives 1 and 2, and also 19. The comprehensive water plan goals and objectives, surface water goal, objective B, and land use and development goal, objective B. 96 notices were sent. No comment was received prior to the public hearing. And then here are your conditional use criteria questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Amy? Hey, Mr. Hardy, you want to say anything else, or?
Just putting up a building to what was stated there, Right now, county ordinance allows a 3,000 square foot building in the shoreline district if you double your setbacks. Because I have a larger parcel of land, I could actually build several 3,000 square foot buildings, but the intent is to have one building the size that I want it, to utilize it that way.
Okay. So actually, by putting this together, then it allows him to build that bigger. If he just left it separate, he wouldn't be able to.
So because, Mr. Chair, because the parcel that he wants to build the shed on is not associated with the resort, it's considered an accessory structure to his dwelling, and then he's subject to those size limits. Also, he's planning to use it for resort purposes. So by adding the parcel within the conditional use permit, that becomes part of the principal use of the, and then it relieves him of that size limitation.
Okay. Anybody on the board have questions, comments?
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to
Go
comment.
ahead.
That answered all my questions. I was wondering why you were doing this, and now I know. Good idea.
Okay, one question though, that I do have. So do we tie an end date to this too, or does that just go with his campground?
No, Mr. Chair, this is a conditional use permit, which runs with
Oh,
the
yeah,
land,
conditional,
and as
yeah.
long as he's abiding by his conditions,
Yep.
then it's a land use right that would be granted to him.
Yep, okay. Okay, anybody have any questions, or are you ready for the? Oh yeah, I gotta do that, I forgot again, I'm trying to speed up. Okay, is there any public comment? Any public comment? I'll ask one more time, any public comment? If hearing none, we'll close that portion of public comment. Again, you know, we sent out 96 notices, we got no comment through that way either, so. You guys have any other questions? If not, we'll go on to the criteria questions.
Just a couple of quick questions.
Go ahead.
Just to clarify, Amy, so what we are looking at here is simply to add the parcel to the existing campgrounds. We are not looking at the shed.
Correct. Yes, so essentially what you're looking at is granting the land use right as a resort and extending it onto that parcel.
Shed is just what he wants to do.
Exactly.
All right,
Yeah,
thanks.
which would be a straightforward land use permit.
Yep,
Yes.
I got it.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Mr. Stish.
just a couple of questions on the shed itself. How tall will that be?
I think there's a height restriction that I have to follow.
Or the shoreland height
Yep.
restriction? Okay.
25 feet.
Yep. And I know you had stated this in your application, but the only people that can see this would be your neighbor and you
In the fall,
in the fall.
yeah.
And campers, probably lake, people
No.
on the lake won't see it. Okay.
Shouldn't be able to see
Yeah,
it, no.
I'm familiar with your property, and, yeah, I just wanted you to mention that for the public.
Okay, we'll move on to the questions. Start out with Dave Stish. The use will not put an excess burden on roadways, utilities, and public facilities such as parks and schools.
Another question for Jeff. No new roads, use your driveway, or how is that working?
Well, there'll be, my driveway is kind of a turnaround driveway, and that shed will be off one side of it opposite the house. And then at the back of the shed, there's existing trails in the woods there, so I'll just use those for a way in and out of the shed.
But it's all on your property anyway?
Yes.
Not on, okay. Thank you. Yeah, there's no new roads, it's not an expansion of the use of the campground. Actually might reduce traffic because more on-site maintenance than off-site maintenance.
Anybody else have anything to add to that? Yeah, I was just gonna say, by adding the parcels together, we're not proposing no new approaches or anything like that. There's no other parks and schools close, there should be no burden. Question 2, the request will not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of other property in immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted, nor impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for uses predominant area. Marvin?
I don't see how it can be because he was the neighboring property and they're just combining it, but no, it's hidden very well. It is tucked in there, meeting all the setbacks to shed, obviously, and all they're doing is allowing the property here to be combined. So it's using existing roads. They said it's not going to be doing any harm or anything. It just only makes sense to make this it's a legality step, should I call it.
Anybody else have anything to add to question 2? If not, we'll move to question 3. The use and opinion of the planning commission is reasonably related to the existing land use and the environment. Groundwater, surface water, and air quality in the surrounding area will not be adversely affected by the proposed use. Dave Brucher.
Well, all he's doing is building a shop or shed next to his house, that it's reasonably related to the existing land use. I think Dave Stish covered it, that it probably is going to reduce traffic in and out. He can do stuff at home there, so that it will not adversely affect the surrounding area. Yes.
Yeah, I'd just say he's just adding land to the campground, basically, is all he's doing. Okay, any other comments on question 3? If not, we'll move to question 4. The use is consistent with the purposes and zoning ordinance and the purposes of the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use. Yeah, it's allowed. He goes through this process. He's just adjoining 2 properties to make one, basically tying that personal property into the campground property, just making it bigger. It isn't going to affect any of the other uses for anybody that's close to him either, because they're never going to know the difference, really. Anybody has anything else to add to question 4? If not, question 5, the use is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or the water plan of the county. Brent?
I don't see where it's in conflict. It already exists as a planned unit development. He's attaching his primary residence to the existing PUD, and it's expanding the area of that entire operation, so I don't see where it's in conflict.
Yeah, it just actually probably betters the campground, so there's more acreage per unit, basically, if you're gonna figure it that way. Anybody have any comments on 5? Before we vote, any conditions? I see none. Okay. If not, we're gonna proceed to vote then, okay? Question 1, the use will not put an excessive burden on roadways, utilities, and public facilities such as parks and schools. Dave Stish.
Yes.
Marvin Treadle.
Yes.
David Brucher.
Yes.
Clint Catherine, myself is yes. Brent Lindgren.
Yes.
Okay. Question 2, the request will not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted, nor impede the normal and orderly development improvement of surrounding vacant property for uses predominant area. Marvin Treadle.
Yes.
Treadle. Dave Brucher.
Yes.
Clint Catherine, myself is yes. Brent Lindgren.
Yes.
Dave Stish.
Yes.
Question 3, the use and opinion of the planning commission is reasonably related to the existing land use and the environment. Groundwater, surface water, and air quality in the surrounding area will not be adversely affected by the proposed use. Dave Brucher.
Yes.
Clint Catherine, myself is yes. Brent Lindgren.
Yes.
Dave Stish.
Yes.
Marvin Treadle.
Yes.
Question 4, the use is consistent with the purposes of the zoning ordinance and the purposes of the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use. Myself, Clint Catherines, yes. Brent Lundgren,
Yes.
Dave Stish,
Yes.
Marvin Treadle,
Yes.
Dave Brucher.
Yes.
The use is in conflict with the comprehensive plan or the or the use is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or the water plan of the county. Brent Lundgren,
Yes.
Dave Stish,
Yes.
Marvin Treadle,
Yes.
Dave Brucher,
Yes.
myself, Clint Catherine, is yes. So all the questions were answered in affirmative. So somebody make a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd make that motion that we send this forward to the county board for September 6th.
I second that motion.
Okay, there's a motion made and second that we recommend approval to the county board on their September 6th meeting. All in favor say aye. Brent,
Aye.
Dave Stish,
Aye.
Marvin Treadle,
Aye.
Dave Brucher,
Aye.
Clint Catherine, myself is aye. Passes.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
I'll take this to the county board on the morning of September 6th.
Okay.
And then the board will act on that, and then it'll be done.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry we gave you such a short meeting. I mean, you could stay longer if you'd like.
It's refreshing, isn't it?
Good luck to you.
Okay, so at this time, we gotta approve the minutes from August 2nd.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
I'd second that.
Okay, Brent seconds it. All in favor, say aye. Marvin,
Aye.
Brent,
Aye.
Dave Brucher,
Aye.
Dave Stish,
Aye.
Clint, myself, aye. Okay, minutes are approved. Any new business? Anybody?
I don't have any, Mr.
No.
Chair.
Any old business?
I don't have any, Mr. Chair.
Okay, guess we'll take a adjournment if somebody make a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
All right, Mr. Chair, if you can just give me a moment to switch gears here.